Welcome to Statistics for Surveys, Session 3, Diagrams for a Single Variable, Segment 6, Stem and Leaf Plot. A stem and leaf plot, sometimes known as a stem and leaf display or diagram, is often defined with the word stem and leaf in it. So for example, Everett, he actually used as a definition a method of displaying data in which each observation is split into two parts labeled the stem and the leaf. So let's use an example. Here are a bunch of numbers, and as you might notice, all of these numbers all have only 2 digits. So this one is 10 and 7, and for example this one up here has a 3 for 30 and a 5 for 5 units. Now a stem and leaf plot will use as a key the stem, and in this case each stem we can see from a key, it's important to add that, represents actually the tenth. So that 35 has 3 as a stem and 5 as a leaf. One thing to notice is that we still see all the original numbers. So this is a benefit above the histogram where we actually bin the data and we lose all the different individual values. So if you don't have too many values, this might actually be preferred because you don't lose any data. One thing to notice is that if you have a lot of numbers, it might be a little bit hard to read, and sometimes they actually split therefore the stem into two parts, one for all the values below 5 and one for all the values from 5 or higher. So this 7 and here the 8 and the 9 and here the 5 and the 9 and the other 9 and these 5, 7 and 8. That will create then a so-called split stem and leaf display, which might look like this. So here you notice we have the exact same stems, but each of them is now presented twice. And the first one is used for everything below 5, and the next one is used for everything from 5 and above. So here's that 8 and 9 again. Here are the 5, the 9 and the 9, and here are the 5, 7 and 8. It's believed that Mr. John Tukey actually created the first stem and leaf display. Here it actually is. And what you might notice is that the order of the leaves is actually not in a logical order. So for example, we have a few zeros here and then a 4, a 9 and a 3. Nowadays, we will actually put these in order from 0 to 9. Another thing you see is that sometimes an additional column is added, as was also done by John Tukey, and this can represent various things. In this case, what was done was at the middle they started, that's where there's an 18 up here, and then for example from the bottom they used the cumulative frequency, so these are actually inverse cumulative, and from the top they used the cumulative frequency until they hit that 18. So there are 8 up here, and then there 16, which is the original 8 plus another 8, etc, etc. So these are the cumulative frequencies, and here they do the same but then from the bottom. So these are 5, that's these 5, then there's 1 added, so we get 6, then there are actually 2 added, so that 6 plus 2 becomes 8, etc. For a stem and leaf plot, this is not compulsory to have a column like this one, but it can be sometimes useful.